Can we all have a civilized conversation about the new handling model in Need for Speed Unbound? I know that I am very late to this topic, which is why we aren't just going to simply talk about the handling, but rather does it negatively impact the state of Need for Speed Unbound racing? This topic wasn't inspired by any Reddit or Twitter posts, nor anything brought to my attention via YouTube comments. I just wanted to hop on here and discuss my thoughts on how it affects the game now and how it can affect not just Unbound in the future, but also the upcoming Need for Speed game dropping in a few years. If you guys and girls enjoy the content, make sure to go ahead and drop a like and remember to hit the subscribe button. We are on that grind for 1,000 subs by the end of the year, and I know we could cook on that. Also, check me out on Twitch. We play a variety of games on there, not just racing, but we also do host open public lobbies in Unbound, Forza, GT7, Motorfest, and other games. But anyway, let's get into the video. The first thing I want to say is personally, I do not believe the new handling model has caused problems in this game. Increasing the skill gap in a game is not a real issue. Rather, it just gives players a bigger challenge to face. Having to work hard for something does not equate to a real problem. Working hard in this instance is the fact that those who choose not to utilize cars with the new handling model will have a harder time competing against those who do. Notice how I didn't say it was an impossible task, just that it will be harder guaranteed. I won't go into all the specifics of what this new handling model does, but I will briefly describe how it helps racers for those who are not caught up. The Kaizen handling was introduced with the Volume 6 update along the community favorite R8, the S5, and the RS6. The handling enables the car to take angles with extreme fluidity, not lose speed on dirt, and have more control over the car in general, to put it simply. Now, keeping this in mind, a few of you guys may wonder, well, if the car handles completely different in a better way, then wouldn't that make every other car obsolete and create an unfair gap? Nope. The reason why I say no to that is because these cars may have the superior handling, but do they have everything that is required to win every single race? No, they do not. There are cars that are better for other reasons than just handling, and that is what a lot of people do not recognize. For speed tracks, are you going to use the R8 that goes 185 on a good day, or use the Testarossa that goes 220 every time? There are still so many cars that are even better than the ones with the new handling. This is of course first depending on the skill of the driver and the track you are on. I personally have not noticed a big difference in racing prior to the Kaizen handling update versus after the new handling was introduced. Cars that were being used back then are still being used now, just with an influx of the newer cars being seen as well. While racing before, racers were not on the same level of skill within a lobby, and they still are not now. With that being said, I do not believe that the new handling model has a direct correlation to how skillful racers have become against others. What does this mean? Kaizen is not the reason why someone is fast now. If anything, as stated in my other videos about meta usage, the car only makes an action easier, but does not give so much room that the racer doesn't need to have the skill in the first place. It may be easier to take a corner with any Kaizen car, but you still need to know how to take the corner in general. I can give you all a short personal story with myself after I got back into Unbound from a break that I took. I used to be a grip racer, and when I decided to transition to drift, the R8 had dropped. Due to the differences in technique between drift and grip, the fact that the R8 had a new handling model did not save me the trouble of having to learn a brand new skill in general. Every race I got destroyed. Every time I put up was nowhere near what I was capable of in grip. Why was that? Because I didn't have the skills required to use the Kaizen handling to its max potential. All of this to say that racing now and racing back then are the exact same. There are those who are faster and there are those who are slower, and it's been that way since day one. This is why I believe the Kaizen handling does not negatively impact the racing side of Unbound. I of course cannot see the full figures of player numbers for Unbound, but I would go out on a limb to say that the introduction of the new handling model has helped the game extremely well. There were a lot of people who simply could not get into Unbound due to the handling model of general cars. This is not talking about the drifting side. A lot of that portion of the community came from games like Heat, where the drifting felt fluid and felt natural, almost as if you were gliding on ice. Pre-Kaizen handling drifting in racing felt like you were trying to skate across those bumpy parts of the sides of the roads. Cars would stiffen up, the angle you would have to take would be awkward, and the overall aesthetic of trying to drift in racing wasn't there. Then comes the new update with the introduction of Audi into the series again. Now, cars can take the proper angle and it feels way more natural. I will say that Heat does have the fluidity down a bit more, but the Kaizen handling takes the general spirit of drift handling and has it designed for Unbound type of racing. Remember that in Heat there was no burst loss, and the mechanics of the game are a bit different with live tuning among other things. Once the popularity spread about how the handling of the game has been reworked, an influx of players came back and stayed thanks to the work that was done. Out of all the things that Unbound has done, I do think that this was one of the only updates to really bring in a bigger audience to the game and increase the lower player count. From day one, the biggest things people complained about were the animations, the handling of the cars, and the burst loss. Burst loss is not going anywhere. The entire game is literally designed around it. The animations have been edited so that you can now turn them off pretty much completely, and this whole video is about the remastered handling effects. To say this Kaizen update didn't help is ludicrous. Now onto how this new handling model can impact the future of the Need for Speed series. Keep in mind that the current Need for Speed dev team is also working on the new Need for Speed as well. How does this all tie together? Let me break it down for you. 9 times out of 10 when they released this new handling model, it was a test bed for community feedback. Does the community like how these newer cars feel? Do they prefer the older handling model? I believe they only added this to the newer cars not only because there is one guy doing the handling and it would have been a lot to add to all the other cars, but also to gather numbers on new handling model car usage versus older handling model car usage. Because of this, I believe there is a good chance the new Need for Speed will have the handling model on all cars. On top of this, there is a mod on PC that was created to give the new handling model to every car in the game. This just confirms the popularity of Kaizen handling and increases the chances of it being there in the future. This is not to say that they need to just copy and paste the handling model onto every single car in the next game. Nope, bad idea. This is saying, however, that each car should have a base of the Kaizen handling and then finally tweak those handling values to be specific to each car. A Volkswagen Beetle should not be feeling like a Bugatti, and a Bugatti should not be feeling like a Hellcat. They have done something like this for the current number of new handling cars like the R8 and the M3 Touring, who do not feel the same at all. I would honestly encourage anyone who has not tried the new handling model or is super against it for some reason to pick up one of the newer cars and try it. Contrary to popular belief, every car with the new handling is not meta, so for all of you that don't like to use meta, the M3 Touring is your best friend. I would bet $1,000 that once you try it, you will love it for the update and the rework handling model will go up. As for everyone who has tried it and or races with it constantly, how do you feel about the handling model? Do you think it negatively impacted the game or did it help? Leave your comment down below and I'll try to get to it if I have time. I'm sorry guys, but I'm very busy and I have been trying to get to every single comment. There's just so many. Don't get me wrong, I love it. I love all the comments, I love all the feedback, I love all the interactions on the channel. Sometimes I just get really busy, so I'm making time to try and respond to as many comments as I can. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to go ahead and drop a like and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video.